These things are high performance, but they're also high maintenance. Click. I got my 2021 Am Renegade 1000. It's the XMR model, and we need to be doing some maintenance. We're going to be removing the valve covers so that I can inspect the valve clearances. That's both intake and exhaust on both cylinders. It's got literally just under 4,500 kilometers on it and 310 hours. And one of my valve cover gaskets is leaking. It's been seeping for a while. So you know what? It's not quite riding season yet, so today's the day to get into it. I have never done it before, so I'll take you along for the ride and show you all the things and the challenges that come along with it. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna have to remove a bunch of covers. I got most of the panels off of this thing already. We gotta take the heat shield off and probably the clutch exhaust tube that goes up underneath, goes right up above the valve covers, the rear one. So let's start with that and see how it goes, shall we? I'm not sure if I need to loosen up this plastic piece. I might have to, I don't know. Probably. No, I don't like that. It is coming, I think. And we got one on the top here. Oh yeah, I remember this one time. I think I was trying to get this off before, and I was like, you know what? If I could get the drain tube for the airbox out of the way, that'd be sweet. But friggin' from the factory, the clamp, it's friggin' at the other side, so you can't friggin' get it off. That's stupid. Okay, so that's loosey-goosey. All right, so I just pulled this guy out of the way here. It's not that big a deal. You know what? I'm glad I did, because it's a friggin' mess, man. So then that shows us one bolt right here, and we got her off. Well, that one's got a little washer on it. I'll use that. She is rusty. So then let's see. Oh yeah, slides one way, and you slide it towards the back, and oh, there she comes. So this piece here, there's a little attachment right under here. See the square tubing? There's a little, looks like a little carriage bolt. That's what that attaches to underneath. So I'm gonna try to get that out. Let's see. All right, so carried on my calculations. Once I get this part disconnected, then I should be able to slide this piece ahead and get her out of the road. Oh, it's got a nut on the bottom. Okay, I figured it out. When I said it looked like a carriage bolt, I was correct. Let's get ourselves a little more leverage. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the ratchet wrench. Maybe. I don't know if the ratchet wrench is the way to go or not. I don't think so. What is the simplest things that can be the toughest sometimes? Come on. Down, down, and ahead. Oh, there we go. Oh man, look at the frickin' oil. Holy. That has been, it's been leaking for a while. Yeah, I let this go way too long. Holy cow. You gotta make some room up there. I gotta take that snorkel piece out, that's for sure. Yeah, we're winning. There she goes. Okay, and we're on the other side of the machine here. So that's the boot back there. There's two clamps for that boot. Right here is a vent line, and then right here is a brake line, and then there's this is clipped on. The vent's clipped there's a little holder for the tube for the CVT, so I think I'll clip that off. And then, okay. See, that won't come up because of the heat shield. Just like that. Oh yeah. She crack loose. Make sure they're all out. There she comes. There she comes. Closer look here. Oh, look at that. I got some dust in there. These are the intake valves, and these are the exhaust valves. On the exhaust side, pretty straightforward. At the start of this video, I talked about taking the valve covers off and checking your intake and exhaust valves. And that other videos I've seen, no one shows you how to do the front cylinder on your 1000 or 850. So that's what I said I was gonna do. But when I went to put the valve cover back on, the gasket just did not fit in right. And I'm like, well, maybe when I install it, it'll be fine. But that's a hard no. It would not see properly, and it's like, it's guaranteed gonna leak. So I just went ahead and got myself a set of aluminum ones, and now I did have a bit of a setback. The company I bought them from, the distributor, they forgot to send me the bolts, so I got some new bolts and I got it installed. So while I was waiting for those parts to come in, the next job I had to do to the machine was I was gonna change out my DPS unit or EPS unit or whatever you wanna call it. The electronic steering power motor, dynamic power steering, whatever. So in order to do that, to get access, I had to pull the air box. And in order to actually do the front cylinder, you got to pull the air box. You know what? It's really not that big of a job. It's once you know how to do it, it's not that big of a thing. It gives you so much more access. It really does. All right, for the next part of the video, there's very little editing. Just to show you, it took me a long time, and it was a struggle to get this valve cover off. It really was. So I figured the best way to get this cover out of the machine was to take it towards the right hand side here. But it was a struggle. I even took the fender and moved it out of the way, but that didn't help. It comes off on the left hand side of the machine, as you see in a little bit. hit. Coil wires. Now, I don't have a service manual, but if you had the step-by-step instructions, what I'm sure it would tell you to do is to remove the cooling system that runs above the front cylinder. You got there's two water necks. The one on the rear cylinder points towards the front of the machine, so it's not in your way. But that hose goes over top, and then it comes into a little Y pipe, goes into your coolant tubing. There's another one for the front cylinder. It sort of sits behind it, and it points out over top of the valve cover. They tie in together, and it's like right in your way. You can do it without removing that, and I did it. But by monkeying around in there, I ended up getting a coolant leak, and I couldn't figure out why. I didn't make any sense. It happened the one night. I cleaned it off, and then the next morning, it started leaking again. Like, it's crazy. I had a buddy come over and sort of give me a little hand. I was getting a little frustrated with my the power steering install. I had something, it was off kilter, and I have an aftermarket J Parts Pitman arm, and you can put the splines for the EPS unit, you can put them in not straight. And I had them off just like 15 degrees or whatever. Anyways, we pulled it back apart, got her in there. Anyways, he goes, well, it might just be a cold leak. There's probably like an O-ring in there underneath the water jacket spout spigot thingy. And sure enough, when I started the machine up, there was no coolant leak. Here we go. But what I did have is I did have smoke coming up by both exhaust ports. On the rear cylinder, it was a lot worse. The front cylinder, a little bit. And I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I ran it a bit, it kept doing it, and then I'm like, whatever. So I had to take it into the dealer to get the EPS unit programmed to the module so the machine and the ECU know what power module unit it is. And when I started up in the morning to put it on the trailer, yeah, there didn't seem to be any exhaust leaks, or the coolant wasn't leaking at all. So when I had them in there to do that work, I got them to inspect it, and they said everything was A-okay. So it just smokes a little bit when you first start it up, and it does not appear to be leaking. So I'm happy with that. You know, as a do-it-yourselfer, you get into that habit of trying to not take off as many parts as possible. But what I've learned over the years is like, you know what? If you look at something and you're like, you know what, I probably need to take this off, but you're like, I could probably work around it. Well, you know what happens? You probably end up needing to take that part off anyways. And usually it gives you way more room to get the job done. So probably the proper way to do it, take the cooling system off and drain it and then fill it up, and it'll be really, really easy. But it can be done on a 2021 at least. I'm sure there might be some different routing things on an older Renegade to maybe a newer one. Probably hasn't changed a whole lot. It's going to be very, very similar. So it's an easy thing to do. It's a do-it-yourselfer. If you take it to the dealer, it's probably going to be quite a bit of labor. It probably is. But you know what? If you want to get it done quickly, sometimes that's what you got to do. And I don't see any leaks. It looks good. I definitely got to take it for a shakedown ride. So why not, eh? So let's just go back to changing the valve cover and gasket on the front cylinder. When I inspected the valves, one of my intake valves was a teeny little bit loose. So I snugged it up, made that quick adjustment, and you know what? It probably would have been fine. So all you got to do, there's a nut, a 10 millimeter nut, lock nut, and then you just crack that loose, and then you just spin the thing for the valve adjustment. You just turn it in, I think it was clockwise, yeah, clockwise to tighten it and counterclockwise to go make it bigger. And it just does just a hair. And then you hold it and you lock that nut back on and you're good to go. It's really pretty straightforward. All right, so that covers up everything on how to change your valve covers, the gaskets, and how to check your intake and exhaust valve clearances. And it's really easy to make minor adjustments. You know what? Simple, easy, and peace of mind knowing that everything's in spec and you're good to go. Thanks, and while you wait for another video, why don't you check out this one right here. Cheers, I'll see you in the next one.